Good evening, hello and welcome. You're with the news today, your primetime destination news. Newsmakers talking points tonight, this Wednesday night. The big talking point, has India become the republic of offended sentiments? This on a day when Mahua Moitra, the TMC MP, has been targeted both by her own party and the BJP for her remarks on Goddess Kaali. We'll have more on that. Also, corruption scandals that are rocking Karnataka involve IAS, IPS officers. Is the rot much deeper than one would presume? That too on the news today. But first, as always, it's time for the 9 headlines at 9. 4 FIRs are filed against Trinamool Congress MP Mahua Moitra across BJP-ruled states and in Bengal. Mahua charged with deliberately outraging religious feelings. BJP demands Mahua's arrest. The TMC disowns the comments made by the MP in an interview to India Today's East Conclave. Rajasthan police arrest Ajmer Dargah cleric who offered a bounty for beheading Nupur Sharma. The cleric reportedly has been told to say he was drunk while making them. Civil aviation regulator sends a strong show-cause notice to SpiceJet Airlines after a series of mishaps. DGCA red flags poor maintenance safety oversight. Minister Jyotiraditya Scindia says passenger safety is paramount. No respite for the Aam Aadmi as domestic LPG cylinder prices have been increased by rupees 50 per cylinder. Domestic cylinder prices have been increased for a 6 times since the start of the year. Monsoon mayhem continues in Maharashtra as the IMD issues an orange alert in Mumbai, red alert for neighbouring districts till the 8th of July. Delhi too expected to get heavy rainfall tomorrow. Mukhtar Abbas Naqvi resigns from the post of Minority Affairs Minister a day before his Rajya Sabha term ends. Smriti Irani now gets additional charge of Minority Affairs. A day after mocking the Indian Constitution, Kerala Minister Saji Cherian resigns on orders of the left senior leadership. And UK Prime Minister Boris Johnson in a crisis amidst a flurry of governmental aid and ministerial resignations. Defiant British Prime Minister vows to keep going, but time could be running out. An India squad for a 3-match ODI series against West Indies announced. Kohli, Rohit, Bumrah rested. Shikhar Dhawan will lead the squad. But first, the big breaking story at this moment, Prime Minister Narendra Modi's big southern push, as we are calling it. The Prime Minister or the President has nominated 4 from the southern states to the Rajya Sabha on the recommendation of the Prime Minister. Musician Ilayaraja, a legend, has been nominated, as has PT Usha, the athlete who put India on the Olympic map in the 1980s. Virendra Hegde, philanthropist, head of the Dharmasthala temple, has also been nominated. B. Vijendra Prasad, the Telugu scriptwriter, father of S.S. Rajamouli, the producer, will also be in the upper house of parliament. So interestingly, we will have representation from Kerala, from Tamil Nadu, from Andhra and Karnataka. So a big southern push by the BJP, the one part of the country where the BJP has not been successful, now to be represented strongly in the presidential nominations to the Rajya Sabha. Pooja Shali now joins me at this moment. Pooja, it appears that the BJP has chosen 4 iconic figures, 2 celebrities in PT Usha and Ilayaraja, and 2 others well known in their states to represent the party in a way in the Rajya Sabha.
And very interesting choices that have been nominated. 4 nominated representatives, Rajdeep, are from the South Indian states. So Vijendra Prasad Garu, Virendra Hegde, Ilayaraja, who's a music legend, a composer, PT Usha, may have missed the Olympic medals, but has been a legend with regard to budding athletes. Vijendra Garu is not only a screenwriter and a director, but has been a legend in creative world. Virendra Hegde of the Dharmasthala temple, head of philanthropist. Very important, this is a southern push that has also been mentioned as it appears. Prime Minister Modi, I must add here, one by one has referred to their achievements, their contribution in the field, whether it's of literature or philanthropy, and therefore ensuring that this goes out as also, remember, a woman. a Dalit face, a minority face. All of this has been taken into consideration. So 4 big nominated representatives to the Rajya Sabha, which has 285 seats. Interesting names, important names who have contributed in their field of literature, sports and philanthropy, and will be representing in the upper house of the parliament.
Right, Pooja Shali joining me. My only small quibble will be, in the past we've seen celebrities joining the Rajya Sabha and then simply being token representatives. Will they contribute meaningfully? We'll wait and see. But for now, the politics is very clear. Strong message going out. Remember, the BJP also held its national executive only over the weekend in Telangana, one of the states where they hope to make advances next year. Let's turn from there to the politics that has heated up today and our top political story. Trinamool Congress's MP, one of its most noted faces in Parliament, Mahua Moitra, is now facing the heat both from her own party and from the opposition BJP in Bengal for her comments on Kaali. Remember, Mahua Moitra made comments about her vision of what Kaali stood for in an India Today East conclave yesterday in Kolkata. Now FIRs have been filed against Mahua in West Bengal and BJP-ruled Madhya Pradesh. With the TMC also distancing itself from the MP, Mahua remains defiant. She has unfollowed her party on Twitter and maintained that she is a genuine Kaali Bhakt. Take a look at tonight's top story, which once again shows that we are becoming increasingly a republic of offended religious sentiments.
If you go to Bhutan or you go to Sikkim, for example, when they do their puja in the morning, they give whiskey to God. So I think one's version of Kaali, or Kaali to me is a meat-eating, alcohol accepting goddess. To me, that is a version of Kaali. And
this one comment made at the India Today Conclave East 2022 has landed Mahua Moitra in a legal and political soup. BJP leaders have filed multiple FIRs in West Bengal against the firebrand TMC MP for allegedly hurting their sentiments. An FIR has been filed in Bhopal as well by a devotee of goddess Kaali. The Saffron Party is turning up the heat. It took out a march in Kolkata on Wednesday and plans more protests this week. From Bengal to Madhya Pradesh, BJP leaders are lashing out at Mahua Moitra.
ये छोड़ने वाला नहीं है। बंगाल में बार बार हिंदू देव देवी के ऊपर घटिया शब्द, ममता बनर्जी खुद जय श्री राम को गाली बताई, महादेव जी की शिवलिंगों का अपमान हुआ। ये लास्ट है काली माता का अपमान। नेक्स्ट टाइम किसको बोलने का हम लोग मौका नहीं दूंगा।
किसी धर्म की भावनाओं को आहत नहीं होना चाहिए। अभी काली माँ का अपमान किया गया है, आज आपने देखा होगा FIR मध्य प्रदेश में हो गई है। हमने कहा भाई हम नहीं छोड़ेंगे, मैया का अपमान भी सहन नहीं करेंगे।
The Trinamool Congress has abandoned its MP, putting her in the dock over her comments.
Our party, the All India Trinamool Congress, emphatically stated yesterday that the statement made by Mrs. Mahua Moitra is her personal opinion. Party does not endorse such opinion or statement, and party has condemned also the way the statement or remark was made.
Mahua is unfazed. She first unfollowed the Trinamool Congress on Twitter after the party condemned her comments on Tuesday. She then posted a couple of tweets. Mahua described Kaali as a fearless and non-appeasing god. Striking a defiant note, she tweeted, "Bring it on BJP." The only voice of support for Mahua came from the Congress, with Shashi Tharoor tweeting in her support. He said, "We have reached a stage where no one can say anything publicly about any aspect of religion without someone claiming to be offended."
Coming close on the heels of suspended BJP leader Nupur Sharma's controversial remarks on the Prophet, Mahua Moitra's comments have now provided fresh ammunition to the BJP to target the Trinamool Congress. With her own party now abandoning her, it has left the Trinamool Congress fireman leader to fend for herself. With camera person Prasoon Indrajit for India Today in Kolkata.
Now, before I come to what I'm calling the Republic of Offended Religious Sentiments, let's just look at the controversy and the reality of it. Listening to what priests from Delhi and Kolkata actually say happens in Kaali temples. Listen in.
এবং মাছ আমাদের দুবেলা মাছ, হ্যাঁ দুবেলা মাছ অবশ্যই চাই, মাছ না হলে মায়ের ভোগই হবে।
আমি এটাই বলতে
আর একদিন খালি দুদিন খালি সব বছরে মাছ দেওয়া হয় না রাত্রির দিকে, সেটা হচ্ছে কালী পুজোর দিন রাত্রে আর বলহারিণী পুজোর দিন রাত্রে।
काली माँ को क्या क्या प्रसाद के तौर पे?
काली माँ को मीठा भोग लगता है जी, फल का भोग लगता है, शराब का और कलेजी का भोग भी लगता है इनको जी, बकरे की कलेजी।
शराब का भोग क्या अभी भी लगता है भैरव महाराज?
बाबा को अब भी शराब का संडे के दिन भोग लगता है।
क्या मान्यता है इसके पीछे शराब चढ़ाने के? क्योंकि बहुत लोगों को लगेगा भगवान को शराब चढ़ाना।
अब ये बाबा का भोजन है, एक तरीके से देखा जाए तो प्रसाद है ये तो बाबा का।
जैसा कि जो भक्त बाबा के चरणों में आते हैं वो बाबा के लिए दूध और गुड़ लाते हैं। बाबा दूध और गुड़ का सेवन करते हैं। और प्राचीन समय में जैसे मदिरा का प्रसाद भोग लगाया जाता था, तो कुछ ज्योतिष शास्त्र के अनुसार जो व्यक्ति किसी व्यक्ति को कहते हैं कि उनको मदिरे का भोग लगाना है, तो वो ग्रहों की शांति के लिए अपनी बाबा को मदिरे का भोग भी लगाते हैं।
The reality, therefore, is there are all kinds of offerings, including, as has been said there, alcohol at times, fish, and even meat sacrifice. So, are we a republic of offended sentiments? Should public figures stay off raising any issue connected with religion? Is that the message? Is Hinduism's more open, tolerant spirit now under threat? Every time someone makes these comments, is Hinduism becoming a mimic, some would say, of other Semitized religions? Those are some of the questions I'll raise. Kaushik Deka, India Today's journalist who was interviewing Mahua Moitra, joins us. Shashi Panja, Dr. Shashi Panja is West Bengal Minister of the Trinamool. Tom Vadakan is BJP spokesperson. And Ruchir Joshi, author, is joining me from Kolkata in a moment. Thank you all very much for joining me. First, let me turn to you, Shashi Panja. You seem to have disowned Mahua Moitra. Why have you disowned Mahua Moitra in the manner that you have? Are you worried that anyone who makes these remarks about Goddess Kaali, even if some of them may be true, in reality in Bengal's unique plural traditions of worshipping Kaali, you want to disown yourself because you are worried about the political backlash? Is this Trinamool also playing what some would call soft Hindutva?
No, not really, Rajdeep. In fact, incidentally, when the India Today conclave was on yesterday, and we also were having a press conference at the All India Trinamool Congress office, the Trinamool Bhavan. And the issues were regarding Nupur Sharma and judicial inquiry, etc., etc. I can elaborate later. And when this press conference was on, I think the Kaali poster issue came in through certain reporters of national televisions. And it was then that we spontaneously expressed our discontent and we condemned the poster. Now, as this was going on, or maybe we had just concluded, probably, this news also did trickle in about the comments of Mahua Moitra. And you wanted the Trinamool Congress to express a comment on it. Now, All India Trinamool Congress also categorically mentioned that these are her personal views. These are not views of the party. Now, you see, we are all members of the party, but I am not about the party. So there will be a party line.
No, but what is it? But I want to understand what is it about Mahua Moitra's remarks that has troubled you? Because as we saw there, a number of Kaali temples in Bengal may well conform to what Mahua Moitra said about Goddess Kaali. The devotional aspects of Kaali are as varied and plural as possible. Are you worried about the political backlash? That's why you had to distance yourself from her.
No, you must understand these are customs and beliefs which have been coming for many years. Now, these are also, it's something that I believe in, you believe in, it may be so. But when you are asking a political party to make a comment, what I would just say is that this should I mean, then you can interview people all over India. I mean, everybody will have a view about it. What we are trying to say is we knew that BJP, in fact, we said it, that BJP is trying to jump and take political fayda, which is very unfortunate. Now, the point, what we are trying to say is, yes, of course, we do not, we do not stand by her statements. These are our own personage needs to take responsibility for it.
Ma'am, you are admitting, I'm sorry to push you, you are admitting that these are customs and practices in Bengal. And you are admitting that she's not necessarily saying something which is far from the truth.
We practice religious tolerance. This party believes in secularism and pluralism. And what's wrong with it? Is there anything wrong with it?
Nothing wrong. So Mahua Moitra was reflecting that plural spirit when she was giving her vision of Kaali, of how she saw goddess Kaali. Right?
Well, then she takes responsibility. But you can ask her about it.
Okay.
But what we are saying is our party believes that all religions are equal and we don't need to hurt anybody. Rather, not even,
okay.
As you said, we've mentioned it, we've tweeted, we have condemned it. We still do condemn it.
Okay, so you're saying that her personal views should not be interpreted as the party's views, and the party does not want to offend any religious sentiments at all of anyone it be. Tom Vadakan, what has the BJP gone and done? Protests, FIRs. Here is a time when LPG prices are rising, the real issues of the day. You don't get agitated. The moment someone says something about goddess Kaali, and as you've seen, there are priests that we have got who say that these practices are followed. This seems to be the difference between Hinduism, which is open, plural, accommodating, diverse, versus Hindutva, which is closed, bigoted, and wants to make a political issue of an open, accommodating religion like Hinduism.
What is your question, Rajdeep?
You are going and filing FIRs across the country. What is it that has troubled you so much about what Mahua Moitra said?
Can I answer that?
Yes, please.
This is a typical case of the classical Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, what the TMC is playing. They claim to be a secular party. And there was this gentleman, Rajya Sabha member Santana Sen, who on a national channel a few minutes before said, TMC stands for temple, mosque and church. So be it. And the election commission can take cognizance of what he meant and what he said. But here's a lady who has been a serial offender. She started with calling Vanar Seva, she called the Hindus. This is on Twitter. This is not my creation, nor the BJP's creation. Then she goes on the Gyanvapi issue. She compares the Shiv link to the atomic reactor. That is her reaction, not the BJP, not instigated by the BJP. And now this about Ma Kaali. The point is she a front for appeasement? Is this the other face of the TMC leader?
So where is the appeasement? No, Mr. Vadakan, where is the appeasement? Where is the appeasement? Where is the appeasement at all in what Mahua Moitra said? You seem to be suggesting that Mahua Moitra is a serial offender in terms of offending Hindu sentiments. Am I correct?
Yes, you read me correct.
Right. But is there a difference between Hindutva and Hinduism? Hinduism is a remarkably plural religion. I'll take you to the Kumbh Mela and we'll meet Naga sadhus who have a completely different vision of Hinduism to the politicians of your political party.
Rajdeep, we can discuss this till the cows come home, which they must have come. The difference between Hindutva and Hinduism can be explained to you in detail. But in a program like this, and when you have the time, we can meet outside and discuss Hinduism and Hindutva, which I think is beyond your scope of understanding. Because you have a preset mind, my friend.
I have a preset mind.
This mindset is to be loosened up. You are in a liberal domain. You have to think as a secular person.
Yes, my secularism tells me Hinduism is a very distinct religion to Islam and Christianity.
Religion. You are talking about the majority community in this country and calling their deities all kind of things. Try doing this in the US. Go to the Bible Belt and talk about Christianity. You will see the reaction. In
Hinduism is not
when it comes to
Christianity.
India,
Hinduism is not
Hindus
Islam.
are treated as you can do anything with them. You can say anything against their gods. And I'm sorry, you try talking about Islam in Saudi Arabia, you'll know what happens.
Okay.
This is
Is India
strength.
okay, you made your point.
Our strength is our secular values.
Okay,
my friend.
I would love to know.
Secular values is what we stood for,
Okay.
and that is what we are fighting. The BJP is fighting for that.
Okay. Ruchir Joshi, you want to respond? You just heard Tom Vadakan saying, look at what would happen if similar comments were made in the Bible Belt in the US. How would Christians react about, let's say, someone said similar comments about Christianity or in Saudi Arabia about Islam. Should Mahua Moitra have been more careful in your view?
No, I am just going to respond to what Mr. Vadakan said. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay. I am glad that someone from the BJP has finally come out and admitted to what they actually are. Okay? Because the two examples that Mr. Vadakan has taken are extremely revealing. The American white supremacist South, where apparently you can't say anything against Christ, is one of the most conservative, anti-women, anti-minority, anti-black, anti-Jewish places on earth. And it is their Supreme Court judges who have covered the US in shame with their overturning of Roe and Wade just now, where a woman can't get an abortion if she wants. That is where Mr. Vadakan and his party and Mr. Modi and Mr. Shah want to take us very clearly. And the Chief Minister of UP as well, Ajay Mohan Bisht. Okay. He then mentions Saudi Arabia, another lovely place where women aren't allowed to drive. They have to cover their faces. And again, he brings that up as an example. So again, this is another place where India is striving to become like Saudi Arabia, except without the petrodollars. India is striving to become, according to the BJP and according to Mr. Vadakan, like the worst place in the United States of America, the southern states, where those states cover the entire United States in shame with their anti-human, anti-women policies.
Ruchir Joshi, there will be those who will say...
Try going and doing that, when he says you try going and doing that, what he's actually saying is that's what we want to be. Now, Hinduism, to my mind, is one of the most plural, open source religions. And in that too, Ma Kaali is one of the most amazing deities that we can have. And yes, she drinks, she eats meat. If someone wants to show her smoking, there is nothing wrong with that.
But
we don't need to import Ayatollah Khomeini. We don't need to import Ayatollah Khomeini's anti-blasphemy laws, which we have done over the last 30 years. Okay, this is what the BJP does. There's nothing original about them.
But Ruchir, let me just stop you for a moment. Ruchir, there will be those who will say... But Ruchir, there will be those who will say that when Nupur Sharma made her remarks in a TV show about the Prophet, she was immediately accused of blasphemy. And when it comes to Mahua Moitra, we will say that, look, liberal elite privilege means you can say what you want about Hinduism as get away. That's the argument which is made by the right wing, that how come the rules are not the same?
I am going to say there should be no blasphemy law in a country like India. If you insult somebody's prophet, if you insult somebody's god, goddess, paint a goddess in a certain way, make a picture of the prophet in a certain way, criticize Christ or make fun of Christ as has been done in England in a Life of Monty Python, whatever, all those things, those should be absolutely allowed. If somebody is offended, it is their problem. If you're offended, be offended at home. You don't like a poster, don't look at the poster. You don't like a film, don't look at a film. You don't like a book, don't read the book.
But that's living in a very idealistic world. That's not the real world.
The real world. I'm sorry. Rajdeep, not idealistic. This is what we need to survive as a republic. Okay? This is not idealism. This is not utopianism. This is basically a mistake that has been made from the 1980s onwards by a number of political parties and a number of leaders, starting with Rajiv Gandhi banning the satanic verses, then putting up with the whole attack on MF Hussain, right? Then two women are involved in a relationship and somebody starts protesting about that film, Aag or whatever Agni is called. I mean, it's absurd.
Okay,
some paintings in 1960 and you run this man out of the country. No, this has to stop. This is absolute rubbish.
Okay, this republic of offended sentiments has to stop. Before I come to Kaushik Dekar, you're
the police code of offended sentiments has to stop.
You're putting your hand up, Tom Vadakan. Let me give you an opportunity. You've given the examples of the Bible Belt of the US and Saudi Arabia. Do we want to be like that at all? As Ruchir Joshi says, that's the last thing we want to be. We don't want those comparisons. This is India. This is the most diverse, accommodating land. That's the greatness of the country. Don't destroy it.
Rajdeep, I and you are on the same page. This author of yours, Ruchir Joshi, is misinterpreting what I said. I said this is India. This is a pluralistic society. If you have to live in India, you have to learn to respect religion. You have to create a sentiment where all of us live together. Mr. Ruchir Joshi lives in Alice in Wonderland. He says, well, if you don't like it, you switch off and switch on. Doesn't work in India. You migrate to some country, you have a problem. But here in India, we live together.
So when everyone... but Mr. Vadakan, if everyone's sentiments are offended, if everyone's sentiments are offended, the police has better... Surely the police has better things to do. The politicians have better things to do.
We are not like Saudi Arabia. If you do not understand that, that's your problem.
But you're taking us in that direction. Okay, let me bring in Kaushik Dekar for a moment, who's listening patiently. And after all, it was Kaushik's interview that has created this controversy. Kaushik, did you get a sense that Mahua Moitra was ridiculing or mocking Goddess Kaali when she made those remarks to you?
No, certainly not. I asked her a very simple question. There was a film poster which showcased Goddess Kaali as someone smoking. So with that context, I asked her whether she believes that this is freedom of expression or whether we should take offense to that poster. She didn't directly answer that question. All she said is that what she indicated is that freedom of expression should be in the country the way she has interpreted Kaali, Goddess Kaali. So she said that this is how she interprets Goddess Kaali.
It was her interpretation.
With the context of that film poster, but she was not referring to that film poster. It's her freedom of expression. It's her liberty. Someone else can interpret in other ways. And she said that if in Sikkim or in Bhutan or in even West Bengal, if liquor or meat is offered to Goddess Kaali, the same if she says the same thing in Uttar Pradesh, for instance, it will be blasphemy. Let me finish. But she didn't say that this happens or this doesn't happen. She gave proper examples, like in West Bengal. She was mentioning about Tarapet, and my colleagues also spoke to, as you showed also in the program, several priests in Assam, also my home state in Tripura. And everyone accepted that it happens in the worship of Goddess Kaali. It may not happen every day, but on certain occasions it happens. So Mahua Moitra made a factually correct statement, and her intention, I didn't see during that interview that she was ridiculing Goddess Kaali. All she wanted to project was that this country needs to have freedom of expression and interpret religion, goddess, in a personal way, in their own way. That liberty should exist. And that question was coming from me because of that controversy that was already happening because of the picture. Poster.
Okay, your point is taken. Your point is taken. Therefore, Shashi Panja, based on what Kaushik Dekar is saying, the Trinamool Congress could have said, look, Mahua Moitra is entitled to her opinion, and rather than exacerbate the issue, you could have easily just ignored it. Instead, by disowning her publicly, it's clear that the BJP has pushed you on the back foot, that you're worried about how the BJP will interpret the Trinamool Congress's stand. The same thing happened when Mamata Banerjee a few years ago was accused of not listening to Jai Shri Ram slogans or getting offended by Jai Shri Ram slogans. Are you being pushed on the back foot in Bengal?
No, Rajdeep, I want to again reiterate, this is on the contrary of what you said. It's not because BJP reacted that we reacted. I told you very specifically that we were already going through a press conference and we were almost concluding and questions were rolling in. And it is then that we responded on behalf of the party, which I don't want to again.
No, but what is it specific about what Mahua Moitra said that according to you, according to the party, is so offensive?
No, we still say that it is her personal views. That is not the views of the party.
Okay, you're
we
trying
still
to
stand by that.
That
we said it. For BJP, it may be political faida or appeasement. For them, religion may be appeasement. But for us, it is a feeling. The essence is tolerance, acceptance, and with respect for all religions. So that is what BJP may be taking political faida or appeasement, which they always do. They have their own calculations. We are not bothered by that. They still have on record not condemned Nupur Sharma's statements. What are they talking so big? It's after international condemnation, the government of India responded. BJP has not said anything.
This cannot become about, that's the worry, Ruchi Joshi, as an author, you may have a very different view. You can sort of have the widest possible freedom of expression. Once you become a politician, then you've got to be more careful, especially in a country like India. In an ideal world, we'd like to keep religion and politics separate, but it doesn't happen. Do you accept that, Ruchi, that it is more and more difficult for a politician to, in a way, avoid the fires of religion all around us?
No, I don't. I think that we are suffering from the mistakes that politicians of all parties, and I repeat, all parties, began to make in the mid-80s, when the BJP was trying to weaponize religion, which they have managed to do to a nuclear point today. Rajiv Gandhi and the Left Front and later Mamata Banerjee all made serious mistakes in how they responded to this challenge. And Ayatollah Khomeini, sitting in Qom in Iran, managed to poison our social polity by his demand of a ban on Salman Rushdie in 1989. Our correct response should have been at that point, we are not banning any novel. We are not banning anyone from saying anything about a religious figure or a historical figure or a religious deity, because in India we have freedom of speech, and all religions living together means that people will say things about each other's religions.
But so you agree that the freedom of speech burden can't be just on
license to be a trigger for violence.
The freedom of speech burden can't just be on Hindus, will be the argument. You've got to be also conscious of the fact that you have religions like Islam and Christianity, which perhaps react very differently.
That's a specious argument, Rajdeep. It's a specious argument because Christianity, for one, takes a lot of flack about Christ and about Mary Magdalene, etc. So in Western Europe, and where Christianity, there's different kinds of Christianity all over the world. And Christianity is the one religion where you can get away with perhaps more than you can in Islam and Hinduism at the moment. But the point is, we needed to basically lay down some red lines for people in India, whether they were Muslim or Hindu or any other religion, Sikh, whatever, right? Jain. The red lines were, we are India, just as we have our own brand of secularism, where people are allowed to wear religious symbols in the army and in school, etc. We are not saying you can't wear any religious identification in school like the French are. We have had girls going in with niqab and hijab and stuff like that whenever the small percentage of girls that do in the schools without any problem, without weaponizing that. Recently that has changed, right? But if we had put down a red line over there saying, this book will not be banned. If you don't like this book, you will not read it. If you create a riot, you'll be committing a crime and we will put you in jail. It doesn't matter whether you're Muslim or Hindu. We will do this to you if you try and misuse somebody's comment about gods or religious figures or political figures to create violence. The crime is with the person creating the riot, not the person who's written the book or made the film or put up the poster. They are not the criminal. The criminal are the people who are using that, misusing that, to create a vitiated atmosphere and to create violence and hatred.
Okay, I think that's well said.
Clear.
I think that's well said and that's very clear. When you weaponize religion and use it for politics, that's the danger. And that's not what India is about. On this program, we've heard about Saudi Arabia and Bible belt from Mr. Vadakan. India is different. The diversity of India allows different opinions to be expressed without the threat of violence. That is what makes Hinduism in particular such a uniquely great religion. You want to change Hinduism and in a way Semitize it? Well, that's your option. Politicize it? That's your option. You've got to choose in a way between Hinduism and Hindutva. And yes, those in public life will also have to be conscious when they make these public statements. I appreciate all my guests joining me on my top talking point. One last word from you, Shashi Panja. Will Mahua Moitra remain in the Trinamool or not? Is she very much part of your party? She has unfollowed you on Twitter. Do you want her to?
She's very much. She is an elected member of the party. Of course, she's an elected member. But as I said, we are all elected. Even I'm an elected MLA and a minister. But the party stand is definitely above us. Okay. If you're speaking on your behalf, and when I'm speaking on behalf of the party, if I'm a spokesman.
Okay. The party above all else. Diversity perhaps is not allowed of opinion in political parties. I appreciate, as I said, all my guests joining me on that talking point. Let's turn to our second big story today, and it comes from Karnataka. Now, the state has been rocked by multiple corruption scandals in recent times. A High Court judge yesterday claimed he was threatened with transfer for monitoring an anti-corruption body probe. It comes in a week when a senior IPS officer, no less than an ADGP, was arrested in a police sub-inspector recruitment scam. Another IAS officer has also been arrested in a bribery case. With elections next year, the charges of rampant corruption are proving to be a headache for the ruling BJP. Here's more.
A remark by a sitting Karnataka High Court judge over the threats he's facing has shaken the judiciary and the entire administrative machinery of Karnataka. Justice H.P. Sandesh on Monday claimed the threat came after he raised questions about the functioning of the Anti-Corruption Bureau. Judge Sandesh said, "Your Anti-Corruption Bureau, Additional Director General of Police, seems to be a powerful person. I was told by my fellow judge that I could be transferred for the remarks. I will record the threat of transfer in the order. This is a threat to the independence of the judiciary and a threat made to the court." The bribery case being handled by the judge allegedly involves IAS officer J. Manjunath, a former Deputy Commissioner of Bengaluru Urban, arrested last week. The Bengaluru Bar Association has rallied behind Judge Sandesh.
I think the only focus for a judge to ensure that there is purity in rendering justice. If the judge is being influenced by other sources, by certain external forces or certain internal forces within the judiciary, I think this is wholly unacceptable. Therefore, we have demanded the Chief Justice of India, first of all, to launch an inquiry and investigation into this, and also to prescribe a framework or a code of conduct.
The opposition too is up in arms.
This is a case of the divine and the comic. I cannot imagine that you will ignore the message, you will ignore the severe attack on judiciary.
Karnataka has been rocked by two corruption scandals this week. In the second case, the Criminal Investigation Department arrested ADGP Amrit Paul on Monday. Paul was heading the recruitment division of the Karnataka police when the alleged malpractices took place. The police recruitment scam has become a political hot potato as Chief Minister Basavaraj Bommai was the Home Minister at the time.
CID ಅವರಿಗೆ ಸರ್ಕಾರ ಮುಕ್ತವಾದಂಥ ತನಿಖೆಗೆ ಅವಕಾಶ ಕೊಟ್ಟಿದೆ. ಹೀಗಾಗಿ ಅವರು ಸಾಕ್ಷಿ ಆಧಾರಗಳ ಮೇಲೆ ಕ್ರಮಗಳನ್ನು ತೆಗೆದುಕೊಂಡಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ನಾನು ಮುಂಚೆನೇ ಹೇಳಿದ್ದೀನಿ, ಯಾರೇ ಎಷ್ಟೇ ದೊಡ್ಡವರಿದ್ದರೂ ಕ್ರಮ ತೆಗೆದುಕೊಳ್ತೀವಿ ಅಂತ. ನಮ್ಮ ಸರ್ಕಾರ ಆಗಿದ್ದರಿಂದ ಇಂಥ ದೊಡ್ಡ ಅಧಿಕಾರಿ ಕೂಡ ನಾವು ಕ್ರಮ ತೆಗೆದುಕೊಳ್ತೀವಿ.
The corruption cases are the latest to hit Karnataka. With elections less than a year away, charges of rampant corruption are a headache for the ruling BJP. Bureau Report, India Today.
So is the rot wider than one imagined, not just in Karnataka but across the country, but more specifically because of all that's happened in Karnataka? IAS, IPS officers being arrested, a judge being threatened. Gopal Hosur, former ADGP Karnataka, joins me, a senior police officer. Ajay Dua, former IAS officer, is also with us, senior IAS officer here in Delhi. T.R. Raghunandan, Senior Policy Advisor and someone who's been raising issues of corruption in Karnataka, also joins me. Appreciate your joining us. Let's start with you, Gopal Hosur. Could you have imagined a day when someone who's a successor of yours as ADGP would be arrested in a police recruitment scam? Last year we saw a Mumbai police commissioner being made, serious accusations being made against him. This year, it's in Karnataka. Are you surprised at all?
I'm not just surprised, but I'm shocked listening to the stories that are going around. But let me also like to compliment the government of Karnataka, the political executive, and more importantly, the investigating team which went into threadbare into the complaint of corruption for the recruitment of the sub-inspector's post. They have done a splendid job and they have collected incontrovertible evidence and they have been able to arrest. But it is very shocking.
But do you believe that the police officers were doing that on their own, or is there a political hand which was blessing them? Because what my sources in Karnataka are saying that the commission raid included a commission for politicians and a commission for the police officers.
I don't tend to believe it because the way in which the political executive has dealt with this issue in Karnataka has been quite straightforward. I can recollect from my memory that the Home Minister and the Chief Minister always said we have given a free hand to the CID to investigate this case and to bring to book. There was some delay in the arrests. But my information is that they were waiting for an incontrovertible evidence to take this case further. And only when they had all the details of the case, they were able to arrest the head of the recruitment division. I can tell you, Rajdeep, that Karnataka was one of the finest states as regards recruitment is concerned. Way back, maybe 10-15 years back, when Mr. Kharge was the Home Minister, he introduced a system of recruitment in the police, which was supposed to be foolproof. Dr. Ajay Kumar Singh, one of our very renowned police officers, used to head the recruitment division. And we always used to boast that Karnataka had one of the finest recruitment system in place. But somehow over the years, this seems to have gone wrong. And I would squarely hold the head of that recruitment division to be responsible for this.
Okay, so you're in a way saying that don't blame the politicians, the police must take the responsibility. Do you agree with that, Mr. Raghunandan? Or do you believe something in states like Karnataka, where we've now, we've had accusations being made by contractors of a 40% commission being charged for road projects in Bangalore? Do you believe that this has reached the stage where there is a strong police politician nexus, IAS officers also involved? Or would you say, like Mr. Hosur says, don't blame the government, the police officers must be held accountable?
No, I tend to take a more pessimistic view. In Karnataka, what we are seeing is something called hyper-corruption. Hyper-corruption is a situation where corruption stops being the acts of a few freelancers, and hyper-corruption is when there is a market chain of bribes being paid through the system. And this cannot happen overnight. This is a gradual slide. And in my opinion, this slide has been coming for a long time. And I'm pretty amused by the fact that the Congress and the BJP are exchanging barbs on this, because every ruling party in Karnataka has contributed to this slide. And if you take a sheet of paper, Rajdeep, keep it in front of you and try and draw the connections between the corrupt and the market chain of how money flows, what you will find is that it all leads back to political hands. Corruption, there are many ways of bribery, and the money is collected in the form of prepaid and postpaid payments. Departments pass on this money upwards, and ultimately it goes into the political coffers where it is used to bribe voters. And it is this market chain of corruption that I call hyper-corruption. That is not something that happened overnight, and therefore I don't think that any effort in controlling this is sincere at the moment.
So you're saying you're saying, Mr. Raghunandan, both BJP and Congress governments have been doing it in Karnataka. You seem to suggest that there is a flourishing market, but can't IS, IPS officers, senior officers, ranks of ADGP, someone who's a deputy commissioner in Bangalore say no? Do you believe that it's impossible in a state like Karnataka today for an officer to be...
that,
to be
that
honest?
is exactly the pity. The pity is that we had fine officers, including Mr. Hosur himself. We had Mr. Ajay Kumar Singh, whom he mentioned. There have been some fine officers, upright officers who have stood firm. And I must also say that in the past, wherever the BJP and the Congress were corrupt due to political compulsions, they still tolerated and in fact supported honest officers, because you need an honest officer to create a system which then can be milked for corruption. So you would find a system where a paradox system where corrupt chief ministers or corrupt governments would actually keep honest officers in good jobs, because at the end of the day they had to show something in governance. But today I get the sense that even that system of control, where a party keeps a balance between honest and corrupt officers, is kind of breaking down, and we are in a tailspin completely. And if you notice one thing, the BJP's accusation against the Congress, or the BJP's riposte to the Congress, is not that we are honest, but you are also corrupt. You see, this is the whole point. When somebody blames somebody else for corruption,
that is happening across the country, sir.
Corrupt.
That is also happening across the country. Yes, Karnataka is not the only state. Mr. Dua, you're joining us. I have limited time, Mr. Dua, and I'm sorry about that. But IAS officers under the scanner, it's not just Bangalore. You might have seen a few weeks ago in Jharkhand, a woman IAS officer was found with crores of rupees in her house. And we are seeing that only yesterday, a Maharashtra police commissioner has been summoned to Delhi as part of an ED probe. Another Maharashtra police commissioner was on the run. It seems at the moment that the chickens have come home to roost to the very top of the bureaucracy and the police. And the politicians, in a sense, are using the system.
That's rather unfortunate, Rajdeep. And ways and means certainly have to be found to not let this virus spread. Otherwise, I think it's not good for the civil service. It's not good for the civil servant, the civil service, as well as the general governance in the country. I would, however, like to say that let's not look at even this, for instance, yesterday's case in Bangalore as an IAS case by itself. After all, there are 5,000 to 6,000 people in the IAS. Number of cases which come to light, 15 to 20. I'm not saying all cases annually come to light of probity, lack of probity, integrity, etc. But we must remember that the IAS itself has a very diverse IAS, or for that matter, IPS, a very diverse set of people who are trained together for about a year, but come at different ages, different backgrounds, and even the composition with 1/3 of the people in the All India Civil Services now necessarily have to be promoted officers. You do have an amalgam of different set of people. So it's at the end of it, personal attitude, approaches, and stand vis-a-vis.
But is it worse? Is it, sir, but has the steel frame, Mr. Dua, now completely rotted? The fear is that earlier the corrupt officers would be the exception, not the rule. Now when you hear it in state after state, you worry that maybe, if not, the tolerance for corruption is so high, or the hyper-corruption that Mr. Raghunandan speaks about, is that it's the exceptional officer who's totally straight.
I won't really, Rajdeep, go along with that. As I mentioned, if as an aggregate, even 20 cases come to the fore in a year with respect to IAS officers out of a total number of 5,000 to 6,000, it is large and shouldn't have been there, but as a proportion, it's not so large. But I'm in no way justified that if there is a deviation in an All India service, people who automatically get to occupy senior positions of government because they happen to be members of the service, for them the standards have to be, standards of probity, integrity have necessarily to be more stringent than for others. And that is where I would say the personal attitude, personal rectitude of a person, all and his background comes in handy. Let's look at the matter from that point of view, rather than IAS being corrupt, IPS being more corrupt, or which state has more corruption compared to the other.
Okay, I'm just one final word. Yes, Mr. Hosur, is it true that states like Karnataka and Maharashtra the stakes are much higher because there's much more money to be made in a way. Bangalore, Mumbai, real estate mafias working. Therefore, the corruption has become higher. I am told that the average money spent by politicians on winning an election in Karnataka and Maharashtra now are explosive. Go over 10-15 crores for an MLA election.
Yeah, Rajdeep, I think you are very right. The southern states, which are economically very strong, the level of corruption is much higher compared to the northern states. But I agree with Mr. Raghunandan and Mr. Dua that there is need to be a systemic change. The systemic change can only come about if Article 311 of the Indian Constitution is revisited. There is so much of security of job for a bureaucrat today that despite committing innumerable mistakes, he can still continue in the job because you follow a principle of natural justice, which is very important. But then it cannot be extended to such a level that you commit crime and you can still continue, get your promotion, get your postings. I think Article 311 needs to be revisited to ensure that the bureaucratic functionaries begin to behave better. There is no certainty of a job.
Okay, let's leave it there. I wish we had more time, and maybe in the days ahead we'll revisit this. Karnataka goes to the polls next year, so we'll bring you all back, particularly Mr. Raghunandan and Hosuru are both from Karnataka. Mr. Dua, you're a proud officer from Maharashtra. These are the two states in a way which find themselves in the eye of the storm. And maybe it's time to also look at the role that politicians play in all of this, because at the end of the day, they are at the apex, at the pyramid. Are they the ones who are pushing these officers in a way to commit acts of illegality? And can the officers really say no when their political boss makes them do something which is prima facie illegal? Those are questions that we will hopefully answer in the days ahead. I appreciate all three of you joining me here on the show tonight. Just a time for a short break. We'll be back in a moment with my image of the day. You're watching the news today. News without the noise.
Make your media plan smarter with India Today Live TV on your connected devices. Amplify your brand with 100 million smart internet viewers. To advertise, mail us at sales@aajtak.com or call 9999892171.
You are watching in
Welcome back. You're with the news today. Let's turn to tonight's good news today. Story comes from Chandigarh, where a 96-year-old Harbhajan Kaur has decided to launch her own business selling besan ki barfi. With this, she has become the oldest entrepreneur in a way in the nation. Age no bar to start a new innings. Watch this good news story.
Sweet success at the age of 96. Meet Harbhajan Kaur, who started a business after turning 90. and made a super hit of it. Her besan ki barfi is selling like hotcakes in Chandigarh.
ਫਿਰ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਮੈਨੂੰ ਕਿਹਾ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਚੀਜ਼ ਬਣਾਉਂਦੇ ਹੋ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਉਹ ਬਣਾਓ ਫਿਰ ਦੇਖਣੇ ਤਾਂ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਬੇਸਨ ਦੀ ਬਰਫੀ ਬਣਾਉਂਦੇ ਹੋ ਸਰਦੀਆਂ ਦੇ ਮੌਸਮ 'ਚ
Motivated by her youngest daughter Ravina Suri, Harbhajan Kaur set up a stall first. Her first batch of 5 kilos of barfi sold very quickly.
ਉੱਥੋਂ ਬਣਾ ਕੇ ਸਾਰਾ ਸਮਾਨ ਮੇਰਾ ਮੁੱਕ ਗਿਆ ਖਤਮ ਹੋ ਗਿਆ ਜਿੰਨੀਆਂ ਚੀਜ਼ਾਂ ਮੈਂ ਲੈ ਕੇ ਗਈ ਸਾਂ ਟਮਾਟਰ ਦੀ ਚਟਨੀ ਦੂਜੇ ਅਚਾਰ 2-2.5-3 ਤੱਕ ਕਮਾਈ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਪਹਿਲੀ ਕਮਾਈ ਵਿੱਚ ਜਿੰਨੀ ਕੁ ਚੀਜ਼ ਸੀ ਉਹਦੇ ਮੁਤਾਬਕ ਬਹੁਤ ਚੰਗਾ ਸੀ
बैठे बैठे ऐसे ही सवाल पूछा मैंने अपने मदर से कि आपको कोई लाइफ में ग्रज तो नहीं रह गया कोई चीज़ जो आपकी कोई ख्वाहिश जो पूरी ना हुई हो तो इन्होंने मेरे साथ शेयर किया कि छोटी सी इच्छा जो है मेरी पूरी नहीं हुई कि मैंने अपने हाथ से कभी एक पैसा भी नहीं कमाया तो ये बात मेरे मन में बहुत लगी जाकर
Harbhajan Kaur became an internet hero 2 years ago when industrialist Anand Mahindra shared her video. Since then, she has expanded her range of products to include almond milk, tomato sauce and pickles. Bureau Report, India Today.
Wonderful story. 96 years young is the best way to describe the lady there. Our image of the day comes from one of my home states. It comes from Maharashtra, where Mumbaikars have woken up today morning to waterlogging, heavy rain. The monsoons are well and truly here. 5 days of rain, more than what the city gets across the month of July. It's thrown life out of gear, but hopefully things are slowly getting back to normal tonight. But the fear is tomorrow there could be more heavy rains. So stay safe. Good night. Shubh Ratri. Jai Hind. Namaskar.
These are the attackers of the late Punjabi singer Sidhu Moose Wala. In a video, they can be seen celebrating after the murder. The shooters can be seen smiling and waving their guns in front of the camera. 5 people have been seen in this car and this video has been recovered from one of the shooters. The shooter, who is sitting in the front seat of the car in a blue t-shirt, is Priyavarta Fauji, while the other one in the back seat wearing a checked shirt is Ankit. The video has been recovered from him. Ankit was one of the shooters involved in the killing of Punjabi singer Sidhu Moose Wala. He has now been arrested by the special cell of Delhi police along with his accomplice from a terminal in Delhi. The other shooter who is being arrested is Sachin Bhiwani. He took the responsibility for harboring 4 of the shooters in the Sidhu Moose Wala case. Who is Ankit Sirsa? According to the police, Ankit Sirsa is a resident of Sonipat, Haryana. He joined the Lawrence Bishnoi gang 4 months ago. Sidhu Moose Wala was the first person he killed after joining the gang. The 19-year-old accused is also the youngest shooter involved in the case. The police had identified his involvement in the case 2 weeks before his arrest. Police said Ankit was accompanied by Priyavarta Fauji in a car. Priyavart and Ankit tried to evade the authorities by donning the uniforms of the Punjab police. The two blocked Moosewala's vehicle and Ankit Sirsa shot him from a close range. They fled the scene after committing the crime. Priyavarta Fauji was the head of the Bolero module of the gang. Punjabi singer Sidhu Moose Wala was shot dead by unidentified assailants on May 29 in Punjab's Mansa district. He was murdered a day after the Punjab government had curtailed his security cover. His autopsy report revealed that he died within 15 minutes of being shot at and had 19 bullets pumped into his body. At least 3 weapons, including an AN-94 assault rifle, were used and 30 empty bullet cases were recovered from the site of the murder.
Himalayan glaciers are melting rapidly because of climate change. And this should concern you. Why? Because the Himalayan glaciers supply water to India's usable water sources. If the glaciers melt at this rate, devastations are inbound. Now let's see what is going on there. Himalayan glaciers have been shrinking for 5 decades, but now that process has sped up. The rising temperature and precipitation change are the likely causes. Data says that temperature anomaly around parts of Uttarakhand and Himachal will hit up to 3 degrees during May. So the Himalayas are on the front line of climate change. Studies say that the higher altitude, the faster the temperature changes. So a higher altitude area could experience warming up of up to 4 to 5 degrees Celsius by 2100. For instance, the region's annual average surface air temperature has increased from 0.1 to 0.2 degrees Celsius. India Today's DIU team analyzed 40 years of temperature data of India's 2 cities, Shimla and Uttarkashi, to trace the unusual heat pattern. Both cities have seen an upward trend in temperature shifts. Shimla, the capital of Himachal Pradesh, experienced a sharp temperature rise with a 40-year high of around 4 degrees Celsius in March and April. Similar temperature changes were seen in Uttarkashi in the same period. April 2022 was the warmest April across the world. Extreme temperatures and heat waves have become more frequent from Antarctica to the Himalayas. Now, the Himalayas glaciers have been melting for the past 5 decades, and it might result in a significant threat to the regional water resources and flash flood-like disasters.
Make your media plan smarter with India Today Live TV on your connected devices.
You are watching India Today.
Presented by Green Lamb Laminates, Har Gustakhi Saaf. Co-powered by